Welcome to the universe of philosophy. In this video, we will touch upon the meaning of life through philosophy of science, which is a branch of philosophy. The question, what is science, is one of the fundamental questions that humanity has wondered about since its existence. As we try to understand the universe, nature, and ourselves, science becomes our guide on this journey of discovery. Philosophy of science is a discipline that questions the nature, methods, and limits of science. This field seeks to understand what scientific knowledge is, how it is obtained, and what it means, thereby grasping the essence of science. The roots of philosophy of science can be traced back to ancient Greece. Thinkers such as Aristotle and Plato made in-depth inquiries into the nature of knowledge and the structure of reality. This tradition laid the foundations of the modern understanding of science. Philosophy of science focuses on fundamental questions such as the nature of knowledge, the validity of scientific explanations, and the truth of scientific theories. These questions help us understand whether science is a reliable source of knowledge. Science and philosophy work together to explore fundamental questions of knowledge and existence. Both disciplines feed human curiosity. Science seeks evidence through experimentation and observation, while philosophy questions the meaning and limits of that knowledge. The philosophical foundations of the scientific method question how scientific knowledge is achieved and how this knowledge is verified. Scientific processes pursue solid and reliable knowledge through stages such as observation, hypothesis, and experiment. The verification of scientific theories depends on both the consistency of evidence and the repeatability of observations. Philosophy evaluates whether this process is objective and the extent to which theories reflect reality, and examines the nature of scientific knowledge. Thomas Kuhn's theory of paradigms argues that scientific progress is revolutionary. Philosophy examines how these paradigms are formed, change, and their effects on scientific communities, providing a broad perspective on scientific knowledge. Scientific revolutions occur when existing paradigms become inadequate. Philosophy questions and analyzes in depth how these revolutions lead to fundamental changes in the world of science and how they affect the evolution of scientific understanding. Testing theories through experiments increases the solidity and reliability of scientific knowledge. Philosophy evaluates the role of experiments in the process of verifying theories and the limits of scientific knowledge, and explains the nature of knowledge production. Scientific reality raises the question of how accurately science reflects the universe. While science makes sense of natural events, to what extent it represents the underlying reality of these events is debatable. Scientific theories are supported by observations and experiments, but every theory is open to change with new data. Objectivity is considered one of the basic principles of scientific studies. However, the question of whether complete objectivity can be achieved in the true sense is important due to the subjectivity of scientists and the influence of social factors. Although science aims to be objective, observations and interpretations are not independent of human factors. Scientific laws assume that nature is orderly and predictable. These laws are considered to have universal validity when explaining the workings of nature. However, the complexity of nature and the unknown elements constantly question the laws. Science constantly tests the accuracy of these laws as it tries to understand the workings of nature. Scientific research is intertwined with ethical questions. The progress of science must be evaluated by considering its effects on humans and the environment. Issues such as human experimentation, genetic research, and environmental effects define the ethical boundaries of science. Science is obliged to do no harm as well as to provide benefit. Positivism is a philosophical movement that argues that science should be based on objective and empirical knowledge. This approach focuses only on observable facts, staying away from metaphysical questions. Positivism believes that science can reach absolute and universal truths. This approach has made significant contributions to the search for truth and accuracy in science. Karl Popper's theory of falsification argues that scientific theories should be falsifiable, not verifiable. This approach encourages progress by providing a more critical and questioning perspective on scientific knowledge. The relationship between science and metaphysics is complex. While science produces knowledge based on experimentation and observation, metaphysics addresses more abstract questions. Although science cannot provide definitive answers to metaphysical questions, it shapes our world of thought. The social and individual meaning of science deeply affects human life. While science facilitates daily life, it also transforms the way individuals understand the world and contributes to the common cultural and intellectual heritage of humanity. The effects of science on society are manifested through technological innovations and social changes. Science transforms social structures, leading to revolutionary developments in areas such as health, communication, and transportation, and improving the quality of life. Philosophy of science encourages critical thinking in everyday life. It helps people better understand scientific developments so that individuals can make informed decisions and contribute more effectively to society. Philosophy of science has its share of criticism. Some say that philosophy of science is abstract and disconnected from practical science. It is claimed that theoretical discussions do not contribute to scientific progress. This is a questioning of the nature of philosophy. Today, philosophy of science continues its discussions with evolving approaches. Modern science, with its complexity and multidisciplinary structure, poses new questions. These questions require in-depth examinations of the nature of scientific knowledge. Famous philosophers of science are thinkers who have shaped the philosophy of science. Names such as Karl Popper and Thomas Kuhn have explained how scientific theories develop and change. Their contributions have deepened our understanding of science. The nature of scientific knowledge, what knowledge is and how it is obtained, is examined. Discussions on the accuracy, objectivity, and validity of scientific knowledge intersect with epistemology. Philosophical concepts offer new perspectives on scientific knowledge. The relationship between science and religion has a complex dynamic. Sometimes they are in harmony, sometimes in conflict. Philosophy of science tries to understand the interaction of these two fields, examining their commonalities and contrasts. Scientific developments are like a compass that guides technology. Philosophy of science provides a more conscious progress by questioning the ethical and social dimensions of these technological innovations. Advanced technologies are shaped under the guidance of philosophy of science. The relationship between science and education is redefined in the light of philosophy of science. Philosophy of science in education develops critical thinking skills and gives students the ability to question the nature of scientific knowledge. This cultivates innovative minds. Scientific progress is possible through continuous questioning and innovation. Philosophy of science determines the criteria for this progress and deepens its meaning. Scientific developments become more meaningful and sustainable as they rise on philosophical foundations. In the future, philosophy of science will play an even more important role. As new scientific discoveries are evaluated from philosophical perspectives, paths that will enrich social and individual life will open up. Philosophy is a guide that will expand the boundaries of science. Philosophy of science deeply affects our lives. A critical approach to scientific knowledge develops a questioning mindset. At the point where science and philosophy meet, deep thoughts that make life more meaningful sprout and encourage individuals to think. You can examine other branches of philosophy in the playlist called Branches of Philosophy on our channel. There are quite a few special people interested in philosophy today. If you are one of them, and this content is good for you, don't forget to subscribe to Philosophy Universe for more.